Have you ever looked at all the gear musicians use and wonder, how does it all work? My name's Dustin, and my family and I are setting out on a quest to inspire both adult and kid musicians to create new sounds together and learn all about what it takes to produce great music. We'd like to invite you along on the journey as we explore the gear professional studios, musicians, and hobbyists use to create their art. We'll take a close-up look at the gear and ask,
what's this button do?
This week, we are going to be continuing our look at the Seeker Lineage series with their brand new Supa pedal. Now, this is a take on one of my favorite fuzzes of all times, the Supa Fuzz. This is a different type of fuzz. This is not something that you would traditionally think of like a Rolling Stones kind of like Satisfaction fuzz. This has got a much deeper, much crazier response that causes a lot of sag, a lot of weirdness in the way it reacts to your guitar playing. There's no good way to describe this. I think what we're going to do is we're going to hop over to the pedal board, let you hear it, kind of experience for yourself, and I'll show you some ways to tame it, and you'll find out this is one of the coolest fuzzes in the world. It's one of my favorite fuzzes of all time, and it is one of the most versatile fuzzes if you know how to do it right. So let's hop over to the board, take a listen. So today we're going to be using our trusty Kauer Banshee. We're just going to use the clean kind of bridge pickup on there. This is what it sounds like. A little bit of clean tone on there, just a little bit, not quite to the edge of breakup, but just a little bit volume up there on the amp. And then we're going to be running the Supa directly in front of the amp. So let's turn it on, hear what it sounds like. Now, the first thing you're going to notice when I click this on, it's a real simple pedal. You got just a volume and a filter knob. Notice how for being a fuzz, it didn't really show a lot of extra sound there. You didn't get like an overwhelming thing. And I've got the volume turned up decently high on that. That's because the Supa Fuzz naturally gates things. So when I hit a note, hear how that swells? Like the bass notes initially kind of feel muddy and kind of gross, and that's why a lot of people don't like Supa Fuzzes on the front end. They'll just hear that first note and go, oh, like that's too much, because it's a noise gate kind of built into the filter section of the pedal. It's not a true noise gate, but the way that the filter works on the pedal acts as a noise gate. And so what it does is it creates this thickness on the deep end. And you can hear that it just naturally swells those notes and creates this really cool effect. Now, I personally love that sound. I find that it can be used in a ton of different ways to create some really cool, dark, eerie sounds. And on your higher notes, where you don't have quite as much bass on there, it tends to not oversaturate. But then when I let off, the noise gate kicks in and it kind of shuts it all down. Now, the cool thing about all of this is with that, you can get some beautiful tones just by rolling down the volume of your guitar and keeping it from hitting that too hard. That's at about a 7. We'll roll it down to about a 4. And then same notes roll all the way back up to 10. So just by turning down your guitar a lot, you can actually change the way that the fuzz reacts to your note playing. And again, remember, I've got the filter turned all the way down on this one for right now. So let's set my volume knob at about a 7 and just hear that. Now see, with that tone, you get almost that kind of like Can of Bees kind of feel, but a little less saturated, a little less over the top, like a Boss heavy metal distortion, anything like that. It doesn't get into that crazy distortion territory, but you still get that nice kind of fuzzy edge, gritty sound around the edges. Now, if we roll our tone all the way back, this also has an interesting reaction. See how that still gets that kind of gritty edge, but it also smooths out the edges of the noise gate and smooths out the edges of the fuzz itself, so you get less of that chatter around the edges of a note when you start to shut it down. I love playing a Supa Fuzz with the tone rolled all the way off in your guitar. And if we turn our volume all the way up but leave the tone back, we still get some of that. Hear how now that sag comes back because we're hitting it on the front end a little bit harder. Now, you can also use the filter knob on the pedal to help alleviate some of that. So the filter knob, as we turn it up, you're going to hear more of the treble side of things come out and less of that bassy distortion. All the way up. So no matter where you have it at on that filter setting, you can still get some of that sag, but just as you turn the filter up, you're going to get a little less of that oversaturation. It's still going to swell those notes. It's still going to respond really well to the vibration in your fingers, and that's what I love about a Supa Fuzz. It's so articulate. Even though it's saturating those notes, you get this really, really cool sound, and that's the thing that just blew me away about this Seeker in particular, because I've played a lot of different versions of the Supa Fuzz, and a lot of them don't react as well to the volume knob and don't react as well to your fingertips. A lot of times it doesn't get that simple kind of note separation just by vibrating your fingers. Oops, got to turn the pedal back on. See how you can get that natural sustain and you can really get the vibration in your fingers. You can get the bends that really just take the whole fuzz over the top. It responds really, really well to your pick attack. Now, it also responds to how hard you hit. So watch what happens. I'm going to play the exact same notes. I'm going to turn this down to about let's go to about 1 o'clock because that's usually where I run these at. And then I'm going to hit it really hard and I'm going to hit it really soft with the pick and let you hear the difference to it. So here you go. That was kind of a heart attack. Now watch the same thing if I light pick it. Hear there where I hit it hard at the end, how it sags more. This is also a great tool if you're training yourself to pick a little bit lighter and control your pick attack. A Supa Fuzz is a great way to do that. Just turn one on and then try to control the tone of the fuzz just with the attack of your pick. And it is amazing how much you can start to teach yourself to control the level that you're hitting things with just using a pick. Now, the other thing that I find is incredibly fun with Supa Fuzz is if we turn up our volume on our guitar and we turn up the tone on our guitar. Remember what's going to happen now. We're going to be real saturated, right? But maybe I'm about to do a solo and I want it to be less saturated but still give me some of that gnarly fuzz. This is really, really cool because most fuzz pedals don't like to have pedals in front of them. They like to be the first pedal in your chain. The Supa Fuzz, and especially this one from Seeker, does not need that. It can be behind other pedals and you can use other pedals to do fun things with it. So what I've got down here is I've got my Bondi FX Del Mar, which is essentially boosting the treble. It's kind of like an upgraded, souped up kind of treble boost, like a TS9 kind of thing, but does a little bit more than that, but it's a really nice treble boosty drive. And then I've got my Mythos Mjolnir, which is a deeper mid boosty drive that's a little bit darker. Watch what happens, the difference between these two when I put them on. I'm going to start with the Mythos Mjolnir, which is that mid boosty drive, and watch how kind of gritty and grimy it sounds. Without the drive. Hear how you lose some of that articulation, right? Now I'm going to turn on the Del Mar and let you hear it with that instead of the Mjolnir, and watch how more articulate this becomes. Turning it off. Isn't that crazy? Just running a brighter overdrive in front of the Supa takes away that sag factor and just gives you the fuzzy edges while still maintaining that drive. So if I turn that Bondi Del Mar back on and we play a little lead riff, it's not going to get that saggy sound, but you're still going to get those fuzzy, crisp edges. you still get all the fun of the Supa Fuzz, but you can push it into those new realms with a different drive in front of it. And this is a fun one to just play around with, try different drives in front of it and see how they sound. Now, the other thing is if I turn like something like a Digitech Whammy on in front of it, listen to how this responds. So we'll play just a few before I engage the whammy. And then notice it gated it again. So when I took my hands off of there, you get the gate ability of the Supa, but you're also getting a little bit grimier edge, and it's making the Digitech Whammy respond to that vibration a little bit more because you're driving that whammy into the Supa Fuzz, and the Supa Fuzz is listening for the vibrations in your finger and allowing them to come through. You're going for the Tom Morello, like Rage Against the Machine kind of sound. Those two in tandem work hand in hand together to create some amazing sounds. And I gotta say, like, I'm all about comboing up pedals, and what Seeker has done here with this Supa Fuzz to make the ultimate combo pedal is absolutely insane. They did a perfect job. And last but not least, I want to show you how this can sound if you turn your filter back just a little bit. You turn a little bit brighter boost, so I'll use that Bondi again on the front end. Watch how this sounds as just a good rock rhythm. If you're trying, maybe you don't have a high gain amp, but you want to get that crunchier tone, kind of like the UA pedal that we were doing last week, but the UA is more like B, buzzy kind of sound. If you just want a good rock and roll sound, plexi drive kind of sounding amp, listen to what happens when I put these two together and I just play some rhythm chords. Those two pedals together can give you such a killer rock and roll style, crunchy gain sound coming out of the front of a Fender Twin or a basic clean drive type amp. I just think those two are the perfect pairing to go together. And you can't beat that if you're looking for some serious amp-like gain without having to go with a high-powered, super loud amp. You nailed this, Seeker. You absolutely nailed it. Okay, I know that was a short one. I hope that made sense to give you some ideas of the different sounds that you can get from a Supa. For a 2-knob fuzz, it can be very deceptive. When you first plug it in, a lot of people don't really give these a chance because they just hit a power chord and then go, ooh, I don't like that like saggy sound. What do I do? How am I supposed to use this? But hopefully this gives you some ideas of ways that you can tame that, control it, and get some crazily cool fuzz sounds. And the way that this plays with other pedals, especially treble boosters, wahs, and whammy pedals, like it is one of the most versatile fuzzes for being a simple 2-knob fuzz. And I gotta say, like, I've got a lot of different variations on this. This is the best one by far. Seeker nailed this. It's simple, it's easy to use, and it works so well anywhere on your effects chain. They just absolutely did a phenomenal job. Cannot say enough how much I love this pedal. So fantastic job, Seeker. Anybody looking for these, please go visit their website. I'll put a little link down below. Take a look at them and you can get them from there. And if you are interested in Seeker's line, I am trying to talk to our friends over at Palen Music about possibly picking up Seeker as a dealer. So please comment down below if you'd like to see these in the Palen Music shops. Please let us know down below. We'd love to hear your feedback. And for anybody who has played Seeker effects before, please comment down below. Love to hear your stories, your favorite pedals from the line. What are you using them with? What type of musics are you using them with? We'd love to hear those stories because I'm just so excited about this brand. I want to hear more from them. So, well, as always, thanks to my friends at Palen for hosting us this week. Please, we're going to have some crazy new videos. We've got the EHX Pog 2 coming up, a couple new pedals from Thorpe, some really exciting stuff coming down the pike. So please join us here over the coming weeks. We're going to have some real fun stuff lined up. Take care this week. Have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see you soon.